Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here. Today we got the third episode in the Zooka training series, and we're going to talk about targeting priorities. We're going to start off with a friendly challenge just to demonstrate some of the points, and then we're going to get into some operation examples. Let's boom some beaches. So from the last video we talked about Zooka pathing, so to quickly summarize, we need to keep our Zookas in a tight group and make sure that they're really predictable so that we can spend the least amount of GBE to protecting them. And the way we can do that is by making sure we flare the ground and not the fences so they don't spread, and making sure that those flares are on either 45-degree angles or round corners to keep the Zookas nice and grouped. And we're also making sure that we smoke all of the avenues that the Zookas might take to protect them. So today we're going to talk about targeting priorities. And the reason that this is important is that Zookas obviously don't have that much health. So we want to make sure that for all of the time that we're going to be protecting them with shocks or critters or heavies, whatever it is, we want them all to be targeting the correct item. We don't want them to be wasting their time taking out a stone storage or a fuel cell when they could be taking out a shield generator or a rocket launcher. So we want them to be on to your priority target. So I've got a friendly attack to show you guys to demonstrate this. So first of all, Milk, this rocket launcher isn't going to fool me. What are you thinking? So big shout out to Milk. He set up this base for me just so I can make this video. So awesome. And let's check it out. So the way that the priority system works is that a Zooka will target a damaged defense, so something that can shoot you, first, then a undamaged defense. So it will start from the most damaged defense all the way through to the least damaged defense, and then it will switch out to a non-damaged defense, the most damaged building, and then the same all the way down to the least, and then a non-damaged building. It's obviously discounting flares. Flares override everything. So this will just show you exactly what I mean. And the priority system only works when the Zookas are in range of said buildings. So if it's out of range, it's not going to target this boom cannon because it's a defense over these two buildings, because they're not in range. Key point, once see the Zookas are stopped, even doesn't matter if they're under smoke or not under smoke, once they stop and they're not turning, they've already targeted the building. So if you're looking to tag something like I have, and I wanted to tag this rocket launcher, it's too late to tag it now because they've already targeted something. You could tag it now, and as soon as they take out that rocket launcher, they'll start hitting this one if there was another undamaged defense over here. But this is just very simply showing it as priority number 1, damaged defense. Priority 2, undamaged defense. Damaged building. And then once everything is destroyed that's in range, they're going to go to the closest building. So it doesn't matter what it is, but they're going to go to the closest building. So they went to this residence here. But I got scared because Milk's layout was just so intimidating. I ran away. Just kidding, Milk. You haven't got anything. So there we go. There's the priority system. And the reason that we need to know that is so that we know how to predict what the Zookas are going to do, so that we can make them work best for us. Other thing when I said nothing was in range and they go to the closest building, some people get confused when say you put a flare just underneath this mine, all the Zookas can't occupy that same piece of grass. So they have to have a little bit of spread, have their own personal space, the little bubble. So because of this, wherever they stop because of the flare and then look for a building, that's their shortest path that they're looking for. So you'll see that the ones on the left of the group will go to the quarry. Some of them will go to the mortar, maybe even a cannon, and some will go to the wood storage. So it's not based on the closest thing to the flare, it's based on the closest thing to the Zooka once it's stopped prioritizing something. So it was prioritizing the flare expired, or they reached the flare, so then they go to the closest building. So there's a few options we've got for tagging, or making a defense damaged so that we can then target it automatically when we get there. The most efficient on GBE is artillery, so we're going to use 3 GBE on 1 artillery, whereas if it's going to be another flare on top of the other 3 that we're already going to do for this walk, then it's getting too expensive. So artillery is great for low GBE use. You can be really accurate with it, but you can only hit up to 4 buildings if they're all really close together. Then we can use the barrage, so it's a lot less accurate. You might end up tagging things that you don't want to. Usually you're tagging things to be really precise in what you hit. So if you barrage a rocket launcher, you might end up tagging a cannon and a machine gun, and then your Zookas are trying to shoot everything rather than focusing on the task at hand. And the same thing with the critters. They're going to tag everything that they can get their hands on, and you're going to lose the delay as well. So the delay is when a rocket launcher, once the Zookas come out of the smoke, a rocket launcher will be able to look at you, and then there'll be a short delay, and then it will fire. If you throw the critters, they'll target the critters, and then there'll be no delay when they see the Zookas. They'll just start firing straight away. So you're going to be way quicker with your smoke, with your shocks, and it can cost you like 400k damage or something like that. You can also use the previous attack. If someone's already been in on the operation, they might have damaged some of the buildings, and you can use that to your advantage. And you can also do that if you're doing like a split attack. You've already attacked with grenadiers, and then you're going in with Zookas, then you can use some of that damage as well. And then you've also got to be aware of when it's best to tag a building or a target that you want to hit versus when you're going to need to flare. Great example of this is on Torrent, and I'll show you guys that in a bit later. So let's get into a few of the operation examples. The first one, we got Swigs. Where are you, Swigs? Scroll past, there we go. So Swigs is a great player. Been hanging out with the big dogs for a while now, so he's getting into some of these sneaks. It's awesome. Love to see him doing these things. So the reason he was confused coming out of this attack was because he's flared so close to the power core. He thought that his Zookas would target that because it's the closest building to the Zookas. But because it's based on the Zookas range, so these snipers are also in the Zookas range. So what they're going to target first is the most damaged defense that's in range of the Zookas. So you might see that some of them won't do the same because they might not be in range of that sniper or defense when you're actually looking at it. But you'll see that instead of hitting the core, they're going to hit that sniper. You actually missed the rocket launcher, but this is what we're trying to make a point on. So if he flared the core, all of those shots would have gone on the core. A nice sneak from Swigs, getting this practice in, learning those lessons firsthand. Awesome. And then we check out this attack from J-Force. He's eventually going to end up by these shield generators, and that's going to be the most important, most interesting part of this attack for what we're talking about. So just taking out these doom cannons, using those critters to avoid the splash damage. Some players still don't know about the splash damage on doom cannons. You got to watch out for it. You see he flared to each shield generator there, just to avoid wasting time with all these fuel cells whilst he's in range of those cannons. This is J-Force, by the way. He's brand new to the family. Great to have him. He's a really good player. He's got a couple of accounts to play around with. He was doing a bit of a shuffle, bit of a dance down here. Lost a couple to the rocket launcher, that's fine. Right, this is what we want to look at. So you'll see as they arrive into the final area, even though they're under smoke, they're going to target the closest, most damaged defense. So that looks like this machine gun here. And then the cannon, and then they'll probably target shock blaster or whatever else is around. So he knows that, so he's flared onto the shield generator, which is awesome. Great job. We'll just zoom out so we can see his fancy critter and shock work, especially this double shock. And then you see how straight after the shield generator, the Zookas have gone automatically onto that damaged machine gun. You'll see that the flare comes onto the shield generator a little bit too late, and he actually ran out of time because he spent so much time on the other side of the map. So great attack from J-Force. Awesome job. Love having you here. Check out Big Daddy. Big Daddy's hit on Diox. So you can see someone has already gone in and cleared a bunch of defenses. This left shock launcher is the most damaged, quite obviously. I think this shock launcher on the right is the next, and then the one up top. But you can see the cannon's got quite a lot of damage on it as well. And the reason that that's happened is because someone's used a barrage to clear a bunch of mines, which is awesome. But you just got to know that that damage is going to affect what the Zookas are hitting. And also the rocket launchers tagged as well. The key with these tags is that you want to be taking out these things first, so you don't have to shock, say these shock launchers, you don't want to have to shock those twice. You want to be able to take them all out in the first round of shocks, and then do whatever you want to do with the rest of your GBE. You don't want to be wasting 2 rounds of shocks whilst they take out these flamethrowers and boom cannons and cannons up top. You can see they've he hasn't flared anything. They're automatically going to take out the shock launcher. Some of them are going to hit the cannon up top, but the ones that aren't in range are going to hit the shock launcher. And then they retarget onto the rocket launcher. Awesome. And then he's just going to make a little bit of a clear out. Laser got him there. Starting to run out of GBE. It's a great hit already. He's done his main job, which was get rid of those launchers, so the next guy can go in with 3 shock and hit the core. 1 shock on the mortars, 1 shock on the rocket launchers, 1 shock on the laser and shock launchers. So awesome. That's how you use the damage from the previous attacker, but you got to be able to predict what the Zooka is going to do. And then let's look at Kron. That you're going to be tagging things in advance. So solo on high 5. Don't see a lot of high 5 up at above choke point. I don't think it comes in above choke point, really. He's used 2 barrages up here, and he's placed them low enough so that they tag all of the launchers, but don't touch the single shots up the top. He has hit this boom cannon, but that's fine. So once he gets to the spot, he knows that they're all in range, and he's only going to have to use 1 round of shocks, and he can get rid of all of those launchers. Whereas if he went up there and he hadn't tagged anything, he might have to use 2 or 3 rounds of shocks. There you go. In a quick summary, we've covered off the priorities, which we've done to death. It'll be in the description below. Give me questions if you need clarification on that. We talked about when the Zookas are going to acquire their targets. which is very important. The advantages of flaring versus tagging, and then how to apply that in an actual operation attack, which is what it's all about really. You can use them in PvP obviously and everything else, but it's mostly about the operation. There you go. Comment in the section down below if you think I missed anything, or if you have any questions about what I've covered. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more. Boom! Beach!